Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Radio Works World. My name is Gill Barham, and you are listening to Lighthearted Conversations with people of significance. And my very special guest today is a very lovely lady called Judith Wright. Good afternoon, Judith.
Good afternoon, Jill.
How are you?
Extremely good, thank you.
Jolly good. So we've got about half an hour, 40 minutes together. And just to tell everybody on the call that Judith has no idea what I'm going to ask her.
No, I haven't.
Which is why she looks slightly scared. But the first bit is easy, Judy, because what I'm going to ask you is just to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do. That's so, you know, where do you live? What do you do? What's going on for you at the moment?
Okay. So I live in Halifax, which is in West Yorkshire. So for some people, you might be thinking, where on earth is that? So it's kind of commonly known as up north, between kind of Leeds and Manchester, to give it a little bit of context. I run a marketing agency called Wright Marketing, which I have done for the last 16 years, which is quite scary. It's like, ooh, where did 16 years go? And we work with quite a wide range of organisations, from tiny one-person businesses through to some bigger businesses across a whole raft of industry sectors, really. And what we like to do is dare to be different, I guess. So we like our clients to stand out from the crowd and to be a little bit different to the norm. So I suppose our little bit of a claim to fame is that we always say, you know, people used to do B2B and B2C in marketing, and we just do H to H, which is all about human to human. We don't do the other boring stuff anymore. So that's kind of a little synopsis of us.
Absolutely, it helps you stand out from the crowd, certainly, doesn't it? Okay, so we're not really going to talk about business anymore at the moment. We're here today to look at the Judith behind Right Angle Marketing a little bit. So we're hoping that you'll share just a little bit about you. And the way that it goes is that I've got some questions to ask you that hopefully will bring out some of the things that are important to you and that have happened to you over your life. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so imagine, Judith, you are in a very posh hotel, and you are going to step into the lift to go to the top floor to your apartment. And somebody else walks into the lift with you, and you get stuck between two floors. And you are told that you're going to probably be there for about 2 hours. You've got some windows to look out of, so you're not going to get claustrophobic, by the way. So my question to you is, if you are stuck in a lift with this person for 2 hours, who would you choose that person to be? So who would you like to spend 2 hours with, that you could grill anybody from alive or dead, that you think, yeah, if I had 2 hours with that person, that would be brilliant?
It'd have to be Richard Branson for me. Because, sorry, I guess you want to know why.
Well, that would be good.
I think because I would love to pick his brains. And Richard Branson for me is, what I love about him is the fact that he kind of completely takes responsibility for himself, but he always acknowledges that he's kind of just about this part of the equation, but he surrounds himself with people who can do the things that he can't do. So I love the way that he always acknowledges the team, but he's a kind of really integral, fun kind of guy, and he fits with my belief system, I guess, around business, but also personal, because I kind of feel like if I'm not having fun, I don't want to do it. And whether that's in my personal life or my business life, it's like life feels far too short to not have fun. For me, he's always somebody who appears to be having a really good time doing what he loves and spreading a bit of magic and wherever he goes. So I would love 2 hours to kind of really hear some of the stories. I've read some of them in the books, some of which are very, very funny, I have to say. But it'd be nice to kind of just unpick under the surface.
And just to pick you up on one thing you said was, you know, I think we're probably about a similar age, aren't we? You know, one of the things that has changed for me over the last few years is, and particularly over the last year, is the realization that actually I probably was taking life a bit too much seriously, and this program, this show, has probably been born out of that. Is not always talking about business all the time, and as entrepreneurs, we tend, and particularly women entrepreneurs, we tend to strive and talk about work being hard and we've got to succeed. But actually what I've found is that having a better time has meant that my business has grown and I've had more success. Have you found that too?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the things for me is and it's a silly thing, but I'll use it because it happened today. We were recording some video today, ready for the conference on Friday. And Adam, who works with me, said, "Oh, if you want to just sit down and do the video," and I was like, because actually I work so much better on my feet. I feel much more in flow. And so my experience throughout my working life has always been that I'm best on my feet and I'm best when I'm in flow. And I think that as you get a little bit older, I think one of the things that you realize is that you do your best work when you're in flow, and it always is about having fun as well.
Yeah.
Sounds such a frivolous creature, but actually it's so true, because it's when we get stuck in the seriousness of it, we start looking at how we're going to do things. And in my experience, when you're in the how, you're never in flow. When you're in your why, you're in flow. Does that make sense?
Yes, or in the heart, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think that if you get bogged down in the how, you know, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make that work? How am I going to lose weight? Whatever it might be, you just become embroiled in this tension. Whereas you're just like living from the heart, or you're just in that place where the magic happens and it's not hard, it's easy.
And it would be lovely to be able to have express this to either the younger Judith or the younger Gill or the younger, I know you've got children like I have as well, because, you know, there is such an advantage to being older, isn't there? You know, I really wouldn't want to be in my 20s again, and I've loved everything from 40s onwards, and developing that inner confidence and awareness, you know, every month and every year that goes past, the more aware you become of what you need as a woman and what you've got to offer the world, and as you say, your why, the easier life seems to be. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think, though, that one of the nice things about approaching where I am now, and as you say, as you probably are as well, is the fact that one of my realizations, I think, has been that there isn't enough sharing of the very things that we're talking about, because people don't talk about it. It's like menopause, isn't it? Nobody talks about menopause. When you're at school,
well, I talk about it all the time because of what I do. But yes, you're right, most people don't.
Generally speaking, when you're at school, they talk to you about sex education, and nobody ever mentions this M word, which suddenly grabs you by the throat for some people. And I just kind of think that I feel privileged to reaching an age that, you know, you can then talk to people about, well, actually, somebody should have talked about this along the way. So whether that's lessons around health, whether that's lessons around the discoveries we've made about how much easier it is to live your life in certain ways, it's great that there's a forum to share that, because I think that's really needed. And that's a privilege for us, because we kind of get to wake up in the morning and be able to share it. Didn't reach this age, did they?
That's absolutely right. Okay, so let's get back to your mate, Richard Branson. And so in this lift, I've also provided you with a lovely table laid out with the best linen and china and crockery and cutlery. And like Harry Potter, I'm going to magic you up a meal with beverages of your choice. So what meal would you like to share with the lovely Richard Branson?
Oh, my word. That's an interesting one. I know what drink I'd share.
Okay, that's good. We'll start there.
Yeah, very crisp, very well chilled Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc every time.
Okay. Right, is that New Zealand? A New Zealand one with gooseberries?
Be nice, yeah. The gooseberries would be really good.
Yeah, okay. So we've got the alcohol out of the way.
Yeah, well, that was the easy bit. Now I've got the hard bit to work out what the food would be. So what the food would be? Well, I tell you what I really like, so that it's kind of really simple, like just a bit of a meze, so that you can kind of share and taste different things, and so a bit of a Mediterranean meze experience would be nice.
Okay, and would you have something sweet as well?
No, I'm not bothered really.
You're not a sweet girl. Okay, all right, fabulous. Okay, so let's now then look at a little bit about the younger Judith. So I'd like to take you back to the 18-year-old Judith.
Okay.
Were you Judith Wright then? What were you called when you were 18?
I was Judith Ratcliffe.
Judith Ratcliffe. So what was Judith Ratcliffe doing at 18? What were you? Where were you? What were you doing? For you?
I lived in a little village above the snow line. So it was one of those places where in winter you used to leave home in Wellingtons and hat and scarves and get into Halifax, and everybody was in summer dresses type thing. So there was a bit of an extremes of temperature going on. I worked in a hairdresser's, and I was doing my City and Guilds qualifications at that time. In hairdressing.
Okay.
So I started my life as a hairdresser, which was interesting.
I think I knew that actually. You did that for a long time, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what were you listening to? What was going on musically for you? Because you know that I'm a musician. I know that you know that. So I'm interested in what you were listening to, the 18-year-old.
Oh, I think I quite liked soul music. I seem to remember a bit of Gladys Knight and the Pips and various things like that at that time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Brilliant. So let's have a look now at the 35-year-old Judith. So by the time you were 35, what was happening then?
At 35, I had a bit of a health scare, and I thought that I don't want to get too heavy about this, but I kind of the reason that why 35 sort of stands out in my mind is because I thought I might have to have an operation, which would kind of mean that I wasn't really ever quite the same again. And so I went off and I had a photo shoot done, and I had all this hair, a bit of a Farrah Fawcett job, I think, and a flying jacket, and I was kind of. And I remember getting this picture thinking, oh my God, I look really good. And I want to be preserved whole. So that was where I was at 35, interestingly.
Did you have children by then?
I had one child at that point, yeah, who I had when I was 29. I had Becky at that point. And is Becky the daughter that works with you? Yes, it is. Yes, who's just got married. Yeah. So I looked pretty good, I think, at 35, and I was enjoying life and I was having a good time. And then I was probably. What were you doing? Were you still hairdressing, or had you moved on? No, I worked in marketing by that point in time. So I've worked in marketing since I was about 28, I think. Okay, so how did that happen, that transition from hairdressing to marketing? Because I bought a salon from somebody who was coming out of hairdressing. I bought a second salon, and basically he didn't come out of hairdressing. He said he did, but he actually just moved onto they used to have like a 3-mile radius, like a boundary.
And
so he rang all of his customers, and I bought the business, but he took all his customers with him. So I bought a bit of a pig in a poke, really. And so I kind of went from what I thought was a going concern to a salon with hardly any business at all. And it was one of the most incredibly difficult times of my life, but actually one of the best when I look back.
Because that was the start of the learning curve, presumably.
Oh, a huge learning curve. And I resented him intensely at the time, because I kind of felt like he'd brought my world crashing round my ears. And I was experiencing quite a bit of ill health. Funnily enough, you wonder why, don't you? As you get older, you start putting that together as well. But so I ended up closing the doors and actually selling this business on, but obviously at a much reduced cost. And I was unemployed. In the meantime, I'd been taking a teaching qualification, because I loved hairdressing, and I was having real challenges with my back, and the hospital had said to me, really, unless you change your job, your health is not going to improve. So I had started teaching. So when I sold the salon, I sold that salon, but I also sold the other salon I owned and the house all on the same weekend. So suddenly I was moving house and I had no job. It was quite interesting. But the job that I did get a few months later was teaching hairdressing college that had quite a large hair and beauty salon. Part of my role was marketing, and I didn't really know anything about marketing, if I'm honest. And if I'd known more, I might have kept the other salon. but
I thought that was what you were going to say, actually. I thought that you'd had a learning curve because you'd had to learn how to market this salon.
So that was the history part of it. But the hair and beauty section, I took a marketing role within it, and I absolutely loved it. So I decided that I actually wanted a career change. So I did all my CIM qualifications at night school, and really enjoyed it, and then eventually moved into marketing. So I took a marketing officer manager's role, and then I took an associate director role in a further education college. So yeah, I loved it. And many years later, met the guy and managed to shake his hand and thank him. I don't know, I think he wanted to done, but I was like, actually, no, it was the best thing you could have ever done. It changed my life, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you know, if I know that, you know, as a mum, and we've got these things that happen to our kids, and you say to them, well, actually, you know, that'll probably turn out well in the end, and they don't believe you, do they? Because you know, as we certainly in the world that I know that you share with me, we now understand that these things are, they always say these things are sent to try us. That's the expression, actually. But they're really sent to teachers, and you know, the more open we are and aware we are, the more we can learn those lessons. Okay, so let's have a look at the Judith now then. So I have another scenario for you. So this Judith, I am sending away on holiday.
Oh, well done. Fantastic.
Yes. You're going away for a month, and there's no stress about it, because I'm going to organise all your flights and all the accommodation for you wherever you want to stay. So there's a stress-free holiday coming up. I'd like to know who you are going to take with you that you could spend a month with without a crossword.
My husband.
Your husband. I'm very pleased you said that, and if he's listening, he'll be very pleased too. Very good.
Spend a month without, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so now we've talked about music already, and you talked about Gladys Knight and the Pips, but what music would you play now if you were feeling a little bit and I know you've had you know, a trying time of late, if you wanted to feel a bit more lighthearted, what would be the music? What music track would you put on now to make you feel lighthearted and a bit happy?
Robbie Williams, I Love My Life.
Okay, Is that the one that we yes, it is.
Yeah,
which I don't know actually.
Yeah, no,
yes.
I really
Judith and I went on a retreat together, and that was a song that was played. And I'm not a Robbie Williams follower, but I didn't know it. But that's the track. I Love My Life.
Yeah, and I to be fair, I was playing that track before the retreat.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like it. Makes me feel good. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so quick fire round now. Okay, so these are quick fire questions. You ready? All right. So, TV or radio?
TV.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
Are you the oldest, middle, or youngest child?
Youngest.
Class clown, goody two shoes, or bit of a handful?
Bit of a handful.
Best habit.
Best habit. Oh, my best habit. My glass is always half full.
Worst habit.
Procrastination at times.
And what do you do to relax?
Usually to completely switch off, it would be feet up on the settee and a good movie.
Cool. And do you have any nicknames?
No, I don't actually. No.
Have you ever had any nicknames?
When I was at school, when I was very young, I hasten to add, I was called Sparrow Legs. Because I had very little stick thin legs, but that's not the case anymore, Jill. And over the years, a few people have tried to have called me Jude.
Yeah.
And a few people have called me Judy. I didn't really like the Judy. The Jude I don't mind too much, but generally no, everybody's just called me by my name.
Oh, cool. Okay. And from a singing point of view, we're back to the singing. So you know, and I sing. So I'm up on stage, and I'm going to drag you up, and I'm going to sing with you, or get you to sing your karaoke song. What would that be?
Oh, it'd have to be from Mamma Mia, I think.
Which one?
The Winner Takes It All. I love that.
Oh yeah, brilliant. ABBA songs are really difficult to sing, though.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you wouldn't get me up on the karaoke.
Well, maybe if you did
there was a lot, then you couldn't.
Unless there was lots of Sauvignon Blanc involved.
Even then, it'd be grim, Jill. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is just hypothetical. Remember.
Yes.
Okay. So ABBA, right? That's great. So what we're doing is we're going to create a list, a song list, and so we're going to put your Robbie. It won't be your karaoke song, but we're going to include your Robbie Williams song into our song list that is going to go and accompany this. Oh, I've just lost you.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, are you there?
Sorry.
Are you there? Okay, so we're getting close to the end, but I have one of the most important questions for you. As you know, I'm a health coach. My real passion is nutritional therapy and helping people with their health, and particularly women. And one of the things I'm really interested in is heart health.
Yes.
Very poignant for you. So my question to you is on the back of my book, which is The Heart of a Woman, How to Look After the Heart You Give to the World. Would you mind sharing with us what you do to look after your heart? So I'm interested in the heart you have to give to the world. So we've talked a little bit about that, but maybe you could expand on that. But also I'd like to know if there's anything that you do to look after your physical heart nowadays.
Okay. So in terms of my heart to the world, I think my heart to the world is always about feeling very passionate about people having the opportunity to be the best they can be. And I know that sounds a little bit trite, but I'm a huge believer in the fact that I like to share the things that I know that have worked for me, that have helped me to make maybe tiny changes that's had a huge impact in terms of the effect that we have. And I'm aware that not everybody is exposed to the kind of personal development world that maybe you and I are more used to. So I'm always kind of really keen to share with people, not to say you have to do this, but to say, have you ever thought of this, and share maybe some of the tools and techniques that have worked. And then actually, I know this probably sounds, but I don't mind whether they want to use them or not, but I feel like I've done my part if I share. It's up to them then whether they make the choice to make any tiny changes to have a different impact or not.
I completely agree with that, because as a health educator, I can't make people do things.
No.
You know, I can only inform people and educate people with what I know. And really, good health is all about just making a decision.
Yeah.
It's, are you ready? Are you ready to make that change? Are you ready to make a change about your health? Or are you ready to make a change about, in this case, you know, your mindset or your personal development? Okay, so now your physical heart.
So my physical heart, how have I helping my physical heart? Well, I think I've helped it probably tremendously over the last year, because I've lost about 3.5 stone. So I'm sure that my heart was really enjoying that moment. And I'm continuing to make healthy choices around what I eat and be more active than I was before. Probably doing a lot in the heart front at the moment compared to probably what I had done for a few years before that.
Yes.
Which is nice. And I think one of the nice things about that is that on the one hand, sometimes when people lose weight, people can be a little bit, oh, you know, you need to be careful.
Yes.
Be careful, you know, and it's like, hell's teeth, I've carried this shit around for a long time, you know, it's off. It's not coming back. But on the other hand, what's been really nice is that it's inspired some other people that I know to actually take some healthier steps as well. Yes. And that's been really nice. That's been kind of nice to have been able to inspire some other people to make small changes to their life, which will have a huge impact on the health. So that's been quite special, actually.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is really what drives me, and for anybody that's got my book, and I don't know if you've got my book yet, but you know, one of my favorite quotes in the book is, you know, in this life you can either choose to be a good example or a horrible warning.
Yeah.
And you know, that goes for your family, but it also goes for your friends as well. And you've just identified it here, is that, you know, I can't be authentic as a health coach without walking my talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, I speak more volumes by the way that I choose to live my life than I do by what I know. And I think, you know, the well-being industry is massive. You know, it's the biggest industry in the world now, virtually. It's overtaken the IT and the car industry because everybody wants to do the same thing. But, you know, the trouble is that it brings in those people that are using it perhaps inauthentically and aren't really doing what doing what they want other people to do. And for me, that's very, very important. So I think what you've said is, you know, it certainly resonates with me, definitely.
And I think it's easy to be very disillusioned by those kinds of people. I know I certainly, in my experience, on my personal development journey, met somebody who I kind of thought were amazing, if I'm honest. But as I got to know that person more and I started to ask questions, I realised that they didn't walk the talk at all, because if they did, they would have been able to answer my question. And the fact that they couldn't meant they hadn't a clue, because they weren't doing it themselves. And you just feel a little let down.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk is, you know, and I suppose we started by me saying, well, you know, my glass is always half full. So for me, if I walk around looking like Ms. Gloom and Doom, how could I ever hope to inspire anybody to do anything? So yeah, you're right. You've got to walk the talk, haven't you?
And finally, I'd like you to share with us what's coming up for you that you're really excited about. So what's coming up in the next sort of month, and also kind of later in the year as well. So what's happening in your world?
So what's happening in my world is next Friday, and I believe you're joining us. I saw you on the guest list. We are having a conference in Halifax called Just Balance, which is designed for women who work in a business or own a business, entrepreneurs, business owners. And we've got an incredible lineup of national and international speakers at the event. We've got Deborah Searle, OBE. We've got our very own Cheryl Chapman, who's speaking, Nikki Pattinson, Deborah Ogden, and I believe I'm doing a little slot on marketing, so I'll be there too. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really inspirational day, so that's going to be great.
And that's just one of is that the second event that you've done in this series?
It's the first one. It's the first one. Ladies only conference we've done. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
But you're going to repeat that if it goes well later in the year?
Yeah, we wanted to do it as an annual event.
Right.
Yeah, we want to do it as an annual event. And I'd quite like to extend that next year into some awards as well.
Yes, but you have a group that this has been born out of, don't you? Share with us what that.
So it's
Say again.
L4N UK. It's
L4N.
basically ladies for networking. Yes. And the group was originally established by somebody who I know called Marina Simioli, and she really got the group going because she recognised that there were some women who perhaps wanted to take that foray into business and to network and develop relationships, but didn't necessarily have the confidence to move into a mixed networking arena. So she set it up as a kind of stepping stone for people. But I think for me, what really works is that women get together in different locations across the country, and they do what women do best, which is build relationships. And then off the back of those relationships, the magic happens and people do business together, they do joint ventures and partnerships. So it's really good. It is what women do, isn't it? Which is about building relationships.
Yeah, that collaboration. And certainly, you know, one of the things that I've started doing is going to meetings like that and talking to women because, you know, like you, a lot of women, entrepreneurial, bright women, we kind of know what we should be doing in order to keep ourselves healthy, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what business you're in, it doesn't matter who you serve. If you're not looking after yourself first, then you're not setting the good example. So as you know, the big message for me is, okay, I can't help you with your marketing, I can't help you with this, but I can help you to put yourself first and to understand how you can look after yourself so that then you can serve other people. And it's one of those networking groups for me is a way for me to connect with those women, because that's where they're increasingly being brought together, you know, these communities of women that are sharing and collaborating. So it helps me to give my message out in one go and say, okay, this is what I know, you go and do this, because we need you to get on, you know, fulfilling the promises that you've made to people. So I personally think that these women's groups that are popping up increasingly are really, really valuable. Okay, Judith, so thank you very much. Now, where can we find out about all of this information? Where do we find you?
You can find me at rightanglemarketing.com,
and it's WRIGHT, isn't it?
Yeah, so rightanglemarketing.com. And also the ladies' information in terms of the networking and the conference is L4NUK.com.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed our light-hearted conversation.
Thank you. I have, but I must brush up on what music I was listening to in the 80s. I'm
going to go back and have a little bit of a review about it. Well, I am very naughty because I do spring these questions on you, don't I?
It's okay. We have to be able to think on our feet.
Yes, we certainly do. Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And thank you for sharing all of your information with us. And I really wish you well with everything that you do.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite, Jill. Okay.
Lovely. Bye, lovely.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.